All right, Shalom, Israel. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakha Kadash. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone. Much salutation to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful election to be the elect most high will. Said each sword in the time for the elect's sake, when the time the elect work is being done to the contrite spirits, the hopeful, extended elect Shalom blessings, men, women, and children. It's been talk and videos, and of course by apostle, elders, bishops, great millstone, regarding just these latest news events regarding prophecy. We always go into prophecy, and it's been said by the prophets before these things came about, and even World War III, which we're on the brink of, is kind of like we're here, and I don't like to say Israel because, we know who the real Israelites are. I like to more say Israelis. But it captions Israel strikes Iran, Tehran, and chaos. IRGC chiefs killed, what it also says. Missile salvos hit Israel. So we'll go to the scripture. It says Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Edom. Edom, the red man. Edom means red out of one. He is the red man of the earth, the so-called white man. And whether he's Dutch, French, English, British, calling himself, labeled himself as a white man, whether he's Israeli, whether he's Russian, or they're all Edomites, except the ones that look like Edomite, that go back to Jake. Those are Israelite foreigners. Israel is as a speckled bird. But the core and original, image of the Israelites is likened to the Son of God, which is a so-called black man with woolly hair, And it says, and his purposes, it says, taken against Edom and his purposes that he had proposed against the inhabitants of Teman, and Temanism Germans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their inhabitants desolate with them. So them small hats, man, they getting everything started. And we always talk about it. It's a scripture, and I'll get it. Talk about the valley of decisions, the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is, the so-called Middle Eastern region, the Western Asian region. I'll get a map. See. Middle Eastern. I wouldn't. So let's see. Let's big it up. I don't know if it'd be big enough. We got Iran right here, We got Asia right here. But Israel right here. We got the Gaza Strip right here. Gaza Strip is always hot because these are these so-called Middle Eastern regional people that had, and look, all these, even Ezekiel 38, it says Magog shall be a guardian to the Persians, and it lists, and I'll mention that, but these are some of the people that joined the BRICS. Like there goes Saudi Arabia, there go, Iran. I mean, they didn't join the BRICS, but they're guarded by Russia, which is a major part of the BRICS, if not the key piece of the BRICS, which has nothing to do with the core body of NATO or EU. But Most High is definitely going to use his chess pieces, Russia, just Magog and the Bible. And you got the United States Arab Emirates. So you got Iraq right here. So all this is close knit, and it's always hot, It's always hot, man. Going back. Let me see. So that was Jeremiah 49. And when Israeli gets involved with things, just like America automatically gets involved with things, it's definitely it sparks a possible worldwide war, a world war. Just dealing with those parties alone. America still supposedly has its allies, but of course, more people are waking up to America. More countries, countries are separating themselves. They know this place is doomed to be destroyed. And I think a lot of these other nations know about the prophets, and about prophecies. So, they wouldn't have underground bunkers. Even China have underground bunkers, man. So, let's see. So, and should the least of the flock, small hats, shall draw them out. Surely he shall make an habitation desolate with them. Babylon. So America, this is all brewing up to where it's prophecy of America going down, and the small hats, Israelis got a tight ally relationship with America. So imagine America going down. What does that mean for them? Well, they know how prophecy lines up. What happens after America's destruction? And we've told them many times. We told them that this is the daughter of Babylon. We told them the spiritual Sodom and Egypt. Told them this is Syria, Nineveh, likened to, all those kingdoms that were for the last leg of Rome. And you could tell because America models themselves after these great kingdoms. They want to be the greatest kingdom, if you want to learn a boxing sport, you're going to learn all of your opponents and take pieces from each of them to be the greatest, or any sport, so and it says the earth is moved at the noise of the fall, at the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, talking about Yahweh Shai, spread his wings over Basra. This is Basra, modern day Basra. It says, at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs, man. So they're going to be so afraid of the desolation coming about, and Yahweh Shai coming on them chariots, because it's going to pretty much happen simultaneously, and it talks about let me see, get that scripture, Isaiah 9 and 6, 9 and 5, right quick. Isaiah 9 and 5, every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, like they used to do. 300, perfect example, Braveheart, Tron, I think, is it Tron or Troy? I think it's Troy. All those battle movies. And then it says, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, man. So they have these nuclear capabilities for a reason. What else does it say? It says, Most High created the Smiths. So, he's always had this hot spot, in the valley of I'm gonna have to put it in. Jehoshaphat means Valley of Yahweh Judges. Hopefully I'm spelling it right, man. It doesn't look right, though. Let's see. Yeah, spelling it wrong. Valley. Let me go ahead and put this in. Valley Decisions. Says, come on, man. I think I'll have to look it up in my phone. Valley of Jehoshaphat, King James Version. Yeah, Joel 3, and let's start at 1. It says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to them to the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, Yahweh Judges, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Even these people that I showed on this map, they have all a hand in being our enemy also. Come on, man. Let me do it from here. The Arabs, the Hamites, Ishmael, Ham, Mizraim, which is, son of one of the sons of Ham. And, we are captain of Egypt, captain in Assyria. All these nations had a hand, and our downfall. It tells you that in Psalms 83. Um, see. And then these people that dwell in our land, called bastards, said there should be a bastard that dwell in Ashdod, which is a city, and Ashdod is one of the most prosperous, if not the most prosperous city in Israel. I think I've looked that up before, but it's very luxurious and prosperous. So, you know, but even along this border, this strip, you know, you see what Israel is surrounded by, you know, these the so-called Middle Eastern people, which are, you know, mostly dark nations, you know, and so, you know, and a lot of them know that they're not the real. I would say most of them know that they're not the real Jews. They're not the real Israelites. And they got their land unlawfully, pretty much, you know. So there's blood to be accounted for with them. But it says, and plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they may drink, you know, living luxurious and using our people as property, commodity, as nothing of value, you know, harlotry, sodomy, you know, and they practice those same things. I wouldn't call it so much of a practice, but they did those same heinous acts over here in slavery. It said, yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coast of Palestine, you know, all them Africans, will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly, or speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temple my goodly pleasant things, man. The children also of Judah, and where the Most High is silver and gold, man. He said, I'll make a man more precious than gold. It's not talking about all these nations and these heathens, talking about the Israelite man, starting with the elect, you know. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold into the Grecians, man. That you, man, they got a movie called Ghost in the Darkness, and it's about Arabs and Edom, so-called white people, and Africans, you know, coming against, trying to capture these two lions, and I know what that meant, and I think I know what, I'm pretty sure I know what they were saying, that those lions were Israel and Judah, you know, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, and they just put them as, you know, lions, and they said it was based on a true story, which I believe also. But I mean, if anything, the Most High put it in their minds to make this movie. And if you did know the truth, you can read in between the lines. Because really, a lot of these people don't even know some, you know, a lot of times they don't even know why they make movies. Most High, they don't even see the subliminal things in their own movies. But the spiritual man does. So that lets you know, too, that the Most High gets into their minds, you know, to make these movies and have these things come about, just like prophecy, just like these men set up in certain places, political offices, certain high seats, you know, to operate the way they do to bring about what the Most High wants to be brought about, you know. So that's why, you know, Israelis are in their place of power. That's why Russia is in their place of power. That's why, you know, let me read this. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far out. I wanted to, yeah. For the Lord has spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. And and a lot of, even with uh, China, I guess so called, a lot before this nuclear buildup of for weapons and power, it was a lot of agricultural um, trading going on, import exports. Now it's high technology, and of course, China is always showing their ass with these robots and this technology. Russia is always showing their ass with the technology and space race and that happened, you know, and even working with China uh, and working with a lot of these other countries that have investments and dealing in those same matters to bring about a powerhouse, the BRICS, you know. So, of course, the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, you know, South Africa, now Saudi Arabia, and that people, like we always say, lining up. Somebody else just joined that I'm pretty sure uh, Iraq. I mean, Iraq is pretty much Iran and Iraq is pretty much. I never heard of any division between them, um, and or even you know, uh, and North Korea talks shit about America, you know. But like it said in scriptures, the weak that the weak say I'm strong. So the Most High making the guys that used to be little, he's making them strong now. They're a threat to America, and not only by nuclear capability or nuclear threat or whatever, but they got other means of threatening to America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's sleeper cells. There's people here from these other nations that may be, spies or whatever, and that's another reason that they're going to bring martial law and the MOTB, and because it's going to be chaotic and it's going to be people sneaking in. They might even front um, a ground war, regarding spies crossing the border, or an invasion certain of a certain city, um, to where and cause a domestic uh, event that has to do with bombs. Like I think I forget what year it was, but they had, you know, um, was it Arabs? They had they had the kamikaze style suicidal bombers over here, you know, or at least in some of those so-called Middle Eastern regions that was a threat even to America. I have to read more into that, but I'm just saying if they did have some kind of event over here where some foreigner from a different land regarding the lands that we were talking about are involved in this war, such as Iran, you know, um, in those regions, if they did a suicide bombing over here, you know, um, then that would be a big national threat, um, to where they would have to uh, totally be on high alert and totally bring in martial law. Now, I'm not saying martial law would start like that, but I'm just saying, they these events that are going down now could, turn the tables at any time of, you know, American citizenship regarding freedom and all that. regarding so-called freedom, so-called liberty, and then changing ties to where people are becoming a problem. Uh, America's own citizens becoming a problem to America. That's why you have something called anarchy. You know, which is basically taking over the government, or what do they call the other one? I think they once been titled as an insurgents too, but I may look that up. But it says, it says that too. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See, you know. And now Iran got Russia backing them. You know, and uh, and a lot of these countries without America at the table of the power table of these summits that used to include America, and somewhat maybe still do in some fashion or form of fashion, but not so much, concerning the secrecy of what these countries are doing behind America's back, and leaving America out when dealing with the economic power system, to where they will deal with the Bitcoin or Euro, and disregard the American dollar. Because I mean, come on, man. We know over here the American dollar is old now. I mean, we've gone from this fiat so-called currency, and I forget what the apostle said it really meant. But right into this high digital technical world, that they call technocracy. So it's definitely have changed, and it's not going back to the old way. In either any fashion of anything else going back to the old ways. The only old ways we're going back to is the ways of the Most High, the Ancient of Days. It says, assemble yourselves and call and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about. Hither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And see, and we're not, we got people among these, but the core, like we've always said, the core of the people that the truth is in America. I mean, America is the main corporate grounds of how the beast operates through their economic resources, through this harlot, that is America that rides up on the beast. So, this America is even claiming their independence, is a target for these nations to be wiped out, So America is kind of like a catalyst for the Most High to show his work, and to have a great deliverance here in this spiritual Egypt, and to let people know through the prophet speaking and through prophecy that there's a spiritual dynamic to this, and that's what they didn't really understand or realize, that is a spiritual dynamic. So we're living in spiritual Egypt. Right now we're living in spiritual Sodom. We're living in a reincarnated Rome. Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. So it tells you that Babylon, out who art thou to be destroyed, man. So all this battle and this heat has to happen for how the Most High wants it, for the prophecy to come to pass. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get ye down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. You know? So, this is what's coming about. Um, that's why we speak about prophecy. That's why they consider us the prophets of doom, because it's no great ending for America. It's no great ending for these nations. You know, I'm talking about great as in victorious, as coming out on top. You know, so you know, um, the BRICS was formed by the power of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. They made the BRICS form. They put it in a man's mind to come together, you know, these different regions, lands, these different kings, so to speak, prime leaders that became linked together to form a unit of great power. But each